Hi, and welcome back to Crooked Lantern. Today we're going to be unboxing a vintage stove, backpacking stove, similar to the Optimus 8R. Bought it on eBay, so we're going to see what they sent me and if we can fix it. It was sold to me as a parts stove, which a lot of the stuff sold on eBay is sold as parts because it's not running, and they don't want people returning things or trying to request refund on things that aren't running and, or in running condition. But a lot of times they are actually close to running condition. So let's go ahead and open it up. It came in this Amazon box, which is good repurposing. I save my Amazon boxes and ship things in them often as well. Alright, repurpose some of the packing guys. I don't repurpose those, I don't like them because they pop in the bag, and if you're sending something fragile, those pop. So I try to use bubble wrap or packing peanuts personally. Alright, so it's like you wrapped it in a little USPS bag as well. Ooh, alright. Sweet. So this, as you can see, it's sold as backpacking stove, and it's a and I can't make out the name here. I didn't really pay too much attention. That's a Phoenix. That's right. So it's a Phoenix, pressure Phoenix. I don't know. Phoenix is at least the model on the stove. But the sticker, as you can see, is all kind of worn off there. So let's see. Let's open it up. It looks like it's a little crooked right off the bat, I can tell. These hinges are a little crooked, but that's not too bad. It's got a nice little handle on the back, but I would think carrying it like this top flips up and then all your tank and stuff are hanging out. But it seems like a design flaw, like it should be right here. But let's take a look. Alright. Well, not bad so far. Still got a bubble wrap here. What's this got in it? Looks like the key. So Precise Phoenix. So Precise is the company, I guess. Phoenix is the brand. It says Shinaburo, close and clean. I don't know if you get a good look at that. We can get some more light on the subject here. A little bit of light so you can see better. So let's see what the rest looks like. Alright, so we've got the cap. That's good news. Now the rubber there looks like it's in really good condition. I don't know if you can see that very well, but the rubber is good, so that's good. Good sign. The inside's not completely tarnished or burned. It's really, the paint's actually in decent condition. Doesn't look like parts to me at all. It's missing the tools, which is kind of a bummer, but those are often missing. But I have a lot of wrenches, I'm not really worried about that. Pot stands are in there, nice and tight. Yeah. Those will do just fine. And now, the main piece in question. So, looks like we have the heat shield, and Looks like it's doing fine right there. It's kind of interesting. So it's got these little notches, I guess, and you kind of dimples, I guess I should say, is better, more accurate. So it's got these male end of the dimples. Kind of slide it in, and then you can rotate it. But I wonder, okay, so these go, this set of dimples fits inside of here. That holds the fountain in place. Now if you look inside of these, there's going to be a wick. And it's kind of like a mini mop head. It's one of the reasons you don't want to let these ever dry out. If they dry out, you could risk burning the wick. And then, so like let's say you're burning it and you're running down on fuel and you're running down on fuel and you're cooking your coffee or whatever you got going on, and you don't top this off at any point, it runs out the fuel and it burns that wick, and you have to replace it. And you can actually, funny enough, you just go to the dollar store and you get a mop head and you cut up those little rope strands, and you have to disassemble this portion here from the fount and then feed that in, and it's kind of a pain, but it's doable. So I'm just going to inspect the fount itself for any stress cracks. One way to kind of do that is just take some steel wool real light, especially around this area here where the braze would be made to connect this. And I'm just looking for any kind of cracking or splitting or anything obvious, and it looks good. Next place I'm going to check is right here. They braze this kind of nut into it. It's the threaded, thing they put into the fount, and then they hold it there and they braze it, and that holds it in place. So you can kind of just take your steel wool lightly, and I mean, realistically, you could polish this whole thing if you want. It's not super difficult. I don't really recommend Brasso, although I have some. It's, sometimes it leaves a pinkish hue. This part's kind of fun, you get to see the results of a little bit of manual labor here. None of those kids these days do manual labor. That's what they say. But hey, I'm 30, what do I know? So look at that. So it looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit shinier. And this stuff actually looks in pretty good shape. So take this off and take a look in there. This is where that fuel sits when you light it. There's no cracks, no splits, no bends. It's in there tight, at least hand tight. Tip cleaner looks like it's sticking out. Let's see. Let's put the key on there. Okay, that's on, let's see, that's on clean. That's on close. That's interesting. Clean, close. So that might be an issue. This is not going up and down. So I wonder if somebody disassembled this, attempting to fix it, such as we're doing. And what they did is actually make it worse. Let's find out. Looks like probably a 3/8. Nope, a little bit bigger than that. This might be metric. It's metric. So hang tight. So my 10mm worked. So I'm going to remove this, and we're going to see what it looks like in there. Okay, boom. So I've actually never taken one of these apart, so this should be interesting. So we've got, looks like we more than likely have a graphite seal in here. So now let's take this, we're going to turn the whole assembly back and forth so it locks up at both ends. But the tip cleaner is not moving at all. So we do have a graphite seal down in here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this tip itself. So again, I'm going to have to refer to the toolbox here, because I don't have this small size readily available. So it looks like a 6mm will kind of fit on there. And let's go ahead and break that loose and see what it looks like. It's kind of binding up a little bit right here, but not too bad. Alright. What do we got here? I think I'm seeing the problem. So, as you'll look, and I'm hoping, I want to make sure we get a good focus here. Bear with me as this camera is kind of new to me. There's little notches in this piece. Right there. And there's a tip on the top. So those notches align with a part in here that turns along with the key. So it's crucial that when you're assembling or disassembling this, that those line up right. So the trick is, so let's try this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it all the way to the clean function, which means it's going to be turned all the way counterclockwise. And I'm going to go ahead and replace this portion right here, as it has no purpose in being removed at this point in time. So we're going to head and nice and snug. So make sure I can still turn this. I made it too snug, so we're going to back it off a hair. Perfect. Tight. You can hear that graphite seal squeaking in there. I wonder if it was leaking fuel or somebody didn't understand. So that'll wear itself in. So again, I'm going to turn it all the way to the clean position. I'm going to take my tip cleaner and I'm going to drop it in, if it will allow me. So in the clean position, I want this to stick all the way up. Now I'm going to turn it to the closed position, and you're going to want to see that tip cleaner go down, just like it did. Now I'm going to take it back up very carefully, and it works up kind of like a little ladder. So then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to start screwing it down. Now you got to be careful so the tip is in the up position. I don't want to bend the tip, I want it to come through this small hole. Now you have to be careful, because if it becomes unaligned and now you're wrenching down on this portion, you're wrenching down on that tip, and you don't want that to happen. So I'm going to back the tip off a little bit, And now that I'm kind of getting to a point where it no longer wants to finger tighten, I'm going to start to torque that down. I'm going to go up. Alright, so I'm not seeing the tip. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it again. And I'm thinking possibly trying another method here. So this is kind of the fun part of these old stoves, is you get to troubleshoot. And it's interesting how a lot of these work. So right now it wants to stay right there. I want this guy to thread down nice and smooth, and I want to see that tip to start coming through. And if I don't see it, that means the alignment is probably not good. So I'm going to turn it back down. Well, it's possible. It's very possible. Now let's try this. Let's put it in the closed position. Now let's insert the tip cleaner. And I want to kind of work it down a little bit. About right there. So it's sitting, the shoulder of it is kind of sitting towards the top threads, maybe like the top 2 threads. Sitting about center, I'm going to start threading this down. And I'm going to get it to where it's just finger tight. I'm not going to wrench down. Check to see, I don't see a tip coming through. Now I'm going to turn it to clean. I'm going to watch. So now I've got the tip coming through. Now I'm going to turn it to close. The tip is still sticking out. It has not gone down. When I turn it to clean, the tip does not raise. It does not move at all. So I'm in the closed position. Well, actually, let's do this. I'm going to go to the open position, and I'm going to remove this. Now this would be a pretty bad situation if you couldn't turn the stove off, for obvious reasons. So let's go to that closed position. I'm going to drop it back in, and I'm going to turn it to, oh, that's the clean position. Now that's close, and that's clean. It's actuating up and down as it should. Now I'm going to go to close. I'm going to drop it in. Now I'm going to go to clean. It doesn't want to push up because it's not even attached to the ladder anymore. So I feel like this is definitely the appropriate position to insert it. We're in the clean position. It's about shoulder height. And should it thread down properly, it should be sticking out of the orifice just right. Very interesting dilemma we have here. I feel like for some reason because when we had the tip in the cleaning position, it threaded right in and it went right through the orifice, no issue. Now that we're trying to do this, it's not working. But we don't want to fall into the trap of the definition of insanity and continue trying the same method over and over with no good results. So I'm wondering there's another method. I'm sure some of the classic stove guys are laughing at me right now, because there probably is a method that I'm not aware of, but I'm going to try this one just off the top of my head. I feel like this would not be a bad idea. So, we're in the clean position. I've got the tip through the top. I'm going to put it in, and I'm just going to start threading it down. So now, I'm going to go ahead and put this final little torque on here, which is not very tight. Doesn't need to be wrenched down. That might have even been too tight. Or maybe not. Felt like it was pretty snug when I took it off. I wonder... So it's fighting me. So now it doesn't want to go down. Let's see where it's sitting. So it actually rotated in the assembly. So that's not what we want. Now I've popped it back out. Very interesting. I'm going to try one more thing. So we've got the tip through. We're going to insert it. Just do one part of the thread until I can feel that it is protruding. Start to turn. Okay, I feel it. I can still feel the tip, and turn a little bit more. Feed that. Turn a little bit more. Feed that. Turn a little bit more. And closed. Closed position. Open position, or clean. Closed. It's so strange. Well, folks, we may not be able to get this one working. Seem to be having some issues with this spline internally. Let's see if we can remove it. So you would turn the graphite, and then let's find out. So now we're going to turn, once this outer nut is removed, let's turn the inner one. So just use the key to do that. It was kind of snug, and it's going to continue to be snug because there is a graphite seal in here that's all over the workbench now. Okay, so now that's loose. It's very loose, which means very likely only being held on by friction. So now I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that, well, first of all, this graphite seal is destroyed and would likely need to be replaced. I'm also seeing that these splines are not in great condition. But the interesting thing about that is, theoretically, they could be repaired. But also, you can see there's like bites out of them. Chunks missing. And there's like a washer here that when you tighten this down, it goes against. And that graphite seal is only about half as thick as it was, how it's supposed to be. This is not really a great stove to have leaking. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I have another one of these or if I can source one. And then what we'll do is we'll return. I'll show you how to reinstall it into this fitting and see if I can get this installed properly, which this looks like it's not damaged at all, if only just a little bit worn, but I'm fairly positive that it'll work fine. And then what we'll do is we'll see if we can get it lit up, because overall it seems like a really nice stove. Doesn't really seem to be any damage. The paint's in really good condition. I think this would be a good runner, and we just need to figure this part out right here. And I'll find out if a Coleman graphite seal will work. I'll find out if I have one, because I have some random parts that I can dig through. And let's see here. That's a little wonky too. Technically, well, I suppose you could just stop it right there. It's this little thing that slides out. Just probably stop right there. And then you slide it in. So I also have one of these guys, so when we do get it put together, it didn't come with one, but I have one. The interesting thing will be is whether that is supposed to sit under this or not. I'm not sure if this was meant to have a different burner or not. So if you'll see, it's kind of an interesting stove. This just goes to show that although there are many stove designs similar to this one, they're not all the same. And so maybe I'll do a little bit more research and see if I'm missing anything else, although this would be sitting on the bottom. Guess I'm not giving an accurate representation of that. There we go. That's better. It kind of does a little notch in there like that. Kind of hold it in place. And then slide it out. Still a little crooked. Kind of an interesting. But not all backpacking stoves are created equally. So we'll see if we can get this fixed and come back and see if we can get it fired up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.